I had to start learning DevOps and cloud from scratch in 2026, I'd followed a completely different roadmap, not the outdated Linux, Docker, Kubernetes checklist we have seen everywhere. Because as we are going into the AI world, and we can see that as we are approaching to 2026 as well. So these circumstances demands a smarter approach and more project-based approach. So in this video, I'll break down exactly how I would learn DevOps and cloud in 2026. Because in the end, our goal is to get a job in the industry. So this personal roadmap will help you to get a job-ready DevOps or cloud engineer. But before jumping onto the roadmap, let's understand why this roadmap matters. So the first thing that we have to understand that DevOps has changed drastically. So I'm in this industry since the last couple of years, and I've seen when an engineer used to create EC2 instance, they used to call themselves a DevOps engineer because at that moment DevOps was not that much popular. And this is not because that DevOps job is easy, it's because the domain was not popular. But somehow a lot of people start getting to know about DevOps and cloud. And in today's time, we can see that there are multiple resources and a lot of people are sharing their knowledge with the community. So there are a lot of learning things we can have to learn to become a DevOps and cloud engineer. So since last couple of years, I've seen that change personally, because when I came into this specific domain, at that moment, we used to deploy a simple Hello World application. But in today's time, deploying Hello World application won't get you jobs. Companies expect Terraform, Kubernetes, CI/CD, cloud, and security skills. A lot of people or learners might have heard DevOps and cloud tools that is required in the industry to get a job. But as a beginner, the main pain point is which tool should we learn when? Because when you have plenty of things in your plate, you are confused that which one should I go for? Whether you should go for Docker, you should go for CI/CD or Terraform, and a lot of things. So this roadmap will keep you focused and help you to learn DevOps in the fastest way, because as there are multiple tools and have to adapt those things in this today's AI world. So hi everyone, my name is Aman. I'm a senior DevOps and cloud engineer. Also, I'm an AWS community builder and CKS certified. This plan is based on real based industry experience because I have interacted with multiple peoples, and as also I got to learn a lot of things since last couple of years. So I would say that if I had to start my DevOps and cloud journey again, so what are the things that I should do and what are the things that I should not do? So each and everything I will share with you in today's video. So let's get started. So the first thing that, as you can see the tagline, which is small goal, big wins. So in your mind, you have to focus on one thing, that as there are multiple things in your plate while learning DevOps and cloud, if I would have at that place, I will divide my goal into multiple chunks. So that's why the tagline is small goals, big wins, because we will divide our big tasks or big goals into multiple subtasks. Then we will achieve those tasks. So that's why I divided this entire 2026 into 4 quarters. Each quarter has clear goal and specific skills, and 2 to 3 projects you will be going to do. And those projects will be production ready projects, or I would say real industry level projects. And by the end of the quarter 4, you will be find yourself as a job ready with real hands-on experience, or also you get a job in 2026. So let's understand that what are the things we have to do for each quarter. So the first quarter that we will be going to do, as like this is the master plan for our 2026. So the first thing that we will be going to do is we have to learn Linux and its fundamentals. Because if you don't know Linux and if you're jumping on directly DevOps tools, I would say it won't help you to get a job, because Linux is very basic thing and it is very important thing as well. Maybe you think that Linux is overrated, but I would say that no, Linux is very underrated, because when you are going for the interviews, one Linux question can get you out of the interview. And they might you ask a very basic question like related to org sed command question. And if you're not able to answer those questions, you might get out of the interview and you might not be able to clear the interview because of that one question only. So Linux is very important. And as I've already written fundamentals, so what are the things that comes under fundamentals? So there are multiple things like process management, you need to know file management, you need to know what are the things under file management, process management. Then you need to know the permissions and ownership of the Linux, like few commands you will see when you are learning these kind of things. After that, there is one more thing, which is networking. I didn't write that, but again, I will write it. So in the networking concepts, you should know what are the IP classes, because this is very basic thing when you don't know anything about networking. So you should know about networking, like what are the types of classes in networking. Then you should know private and public IP differences. So this is very basic. After that, you need to know that the types of networks, and you like once you will start learning about networking, so you will get to know about the CIDR blocks, CIDR ranges. So how many IP should you give like what should be the CIDR block range when you need a specific number of machines. So that thing you will see in networking, and a lot of things like networking commands, you will see that how traceroute, how TCP dump, how ping works. So each and everything you will get to know about networking. Once you will give enough time to Linux and networking, now you have to make sure one thing, that don't be desperate or don't be in rush when you're learning Linux and networking fundamentals. You should give at least 1.5 months to 2 months to these two topics, because once you learn these two specific topics or these two specific thing, I would say that 30 to 40% things would be completed to become a DevOps and cloud engineer. Because the same thing you will be going to see everywhere, whether it's AWS, whether it's Terraform, Docker, Kubernetes, or any other tool. So make sure that you should give enough time to Linux and networking concepts. But again, if you are good and you are already familiar with Linux and networking concepts, so you can allot time to other topics. So the next thing that we have AWS services. So now it's not like AWS services. The point is that you have to get a cloud. So to become a DevOps and cloud engineer, you need to know a particular cloud, whether it can be Microsoft Azure, or whether it can be AWS, or you can jump on GCP if you want. So it's all up to you. But if you ask me, so I will say that you should go with AWS, because as you have to pay a cost when you're using the services. So AWS gives you 6 months free tier account. So you can use that free tier account for 6 months, and that will help you to learn a lot of things for a particular cloud. And after learning AWS, you don't need to learn every cloud, because most of the time the concepts are similar, and there is only one changes, like you will see the naming convention name in between Azure and AWS or GCP. So I would say that you should go with AWS. If you have Azure account, you can go with it. There is no issue with that. There is no foundation to learn something. So this is for the quarter 1. And after that, once you complete these three things in your first quarter, you have to give 10 to 15 days in that quarter itself to do the projects. Now, as I told you about the AWS, so what are the things, as I'm taking the example of AWS, so what are the things that you should learn in AWS? So the first thing that you should know about AWS EC2 instances, like as we are going to deploy our application, so we should know what is EC2 instance. Then after that, you can explore IAM services, VPC, S3, RDS, secrets manager. So these 6 to 7 services you should know. But I would say, if you thinking that you should explore ECS or EKS, don't do that if you are in quarter 1 and you don't know anything about Docker or Kubernetes. So don't touch ECS or EKS, otherwise it will take you a lot of time, and ultimately you will be confused, and you might be thinking to jump on Kubernetes or Docker, because you have seen on LinkedIn or on multiple social media that Kubernetes is ultimately a goal. Once you explore these kind of AWS services, you should start creating projects where you can create projects like you can deploy a static website using S3 plus CloudFront. Then after that, you can deploy a 2-tier application by creating 2-tier architecture where you will have AWS EC2 instance, auto scaling groups, then RDS. Then after that, if you want, you can also create 3-tier architecture. So these kind of things you should do when you are working with AWS. So there are multiple projects available on YouTube, Medium, and if you want me to share those projects, so feel free to let me know in the comments. I will share the list of projects that you can do, and we will also discuss about those things, like what are the specific projects that you can do. We will also talk about that thing in the later videos. Then in the quarter 2, we have to jump onto the next thing, which is Terraform, CI/CD, Docker. Now, the first thing, Terraform. Now, why should you go for Terraform? So Terraform is an infrastructure as a code where you will configure your infrastructure. So whatever you have created using on AWS via ClickOps or manual clicks. So the same thing you are going to create via Terraform. So maybe you can say that, Aman, we can directly jump onto Terraform by we are creating the things on AWS manually. So the reason is that you need to know that what are the things that we need to require to create a particular service. So for that, you need to make sure that you should learn how to create a particular cloud service via ClickOps. And then after that, you can feel free to jump on Terraform, where you will learn about Terraform resources, that how can you create the resources, like how can you create VPC, how can you create EC2 instances. Then after that, you should know about the modular approach. So how can you create multiple resources if you want to do that? How can you handle the multiple environments? So if you want to create the same resources in 2 more environments, how would you do that? So for that, you should know about Terraform Workspace. Then after that, you have to explore Terraform meta arguments. And this is one of the important thing for interview perspective, because interviewer will ask you about the meta arguments as well. So this is about Terraform. So you can explore Terraform as much as you can, and it may take around 15 to 20 days to complete Terraform, because at the end you are just copying and pasting things, but you need to know that how to write HCL scripts, how to create the resources using HCL, or most of the time industry uses HCL instead of other languages. So I would recommend you to go with HCL. After Terraform, you have to learn about CI/CD. So this is one of the important thing for DevOps, where you are going to do continuous integration and continuous deployment. So for CI/CD, you can pick any tools in between of Jenkins or GitHub Actions. My personal opinion, you should go with Jenkins, because Jenkins teaches you how you can configure CI/CD tools on machines. So ultimately, a particular CI/CD tool is hosted on a machine. So you will learn about Jenkins, and once you learn Jenkins, so you can jump on GitHub Actions as well. But GitHub Actions won't take much time because the infra side is already configured. So you don't have to give enough time for that. You should learn how to work with parallel job, how to create a pipeline, how to create your applications, like how to deploy your applications. And the applications can be Node.js application, Java applications you can deploy. Also, you need to learn about secrets management in Jenkins. So that is one of the important thing. Then after that, you need to know about the master and slave architecture in Jenkins because it is one of the important thing when you have multiple pipelines and your development teams is quite big. So how will you handle the parallel running pipeline? So that kind of things you should know. So yeah, for that we will have the projects like you can integrate with Jenkins or GitHub Actions where you can deploy your services using Terraform and any CI/CD tool. So this is one of the project that you can do, and also it is important project. Then after learning CI/CD, then we have to jump on the containerization. So to create the containers and deploy our application on containers, you need to know Docker, and this is very important when you want to learn Kubernetes because ultimately Kubernetes deploy your containers in their pods. So Docker is very important topic when you're working as a DevOps and cloud engineer. So in Docker, you need to know that how to write Docker files, how to create Docker images, how to create Docker volumes. You need to know about the network concepts in Docker. Then the next thing that you need to understand that how can you work with multi-staging Docker file. Once you complete the basics of Docker, you need to jump on the manage Docker services for AWS. So as I was talking about ECS, that you should not touch ECS. So after completing the Docker, you can start working on ECS, and then you have to learn that how can you deploy your applications on ECS, which is Elastic Container Services. So you have to deploy your applications. Like this would be manual way to deploy your applications, and you can deploy 3D application where you will have a front end, back end, and database. And in the end, there will be a big project that you can do where you will creating the AWS ECS and other required services using Terraform. Then you will deploy your applications on those AWS services via CI/CD, and also you can integrate the existing project that you did with Terraform plus CI/CD plus AWS. So this will become an end-to-end project, I would say. Then after that, in the quarter 3, we will have specific things. The first thing that we will have is Kubernetes. So Kubernetes is very important thing, and often people find it very difficult. So you have to give enough time to Kubernetes because there are a lot of components you need to know. So the first thing that you will see that you need to know about the complete architecture. So you need to know that what is node scheduler, what is controller, what is API server, etcd, each and everything you need to know about Kubernetes architecture. Because in interview you will see a lot of question related to Kubernetes architecture. Once you will get the theoretical knowledge, you have to configure your Kubernetes cluster via hardware, where you are deploying each and every component using hardware. Now, why I'm saying this? Because before jumping onto the any managed Kubernetes services like EKS, you should know about how things works behind the scenes. So if you understand that thing, so you will be able to understand that, okay, if something breaks for your Kubernetes architecture, so you will be able to understand. And a lot of organizations are still using on-prem Kubernetes cluster. So that is one of the important thing that you need to know about the Kubernetes architecture. Then a very basic thing like pods, deployments, replica sets, services, ingress, volumes. This is very common thing that you should know about Kubernetes. So already there are multiple videos you can find on YouTube or other platforms to learn Kubernetes from scratch. So you can explore those videos as well. After doing that, you have to start doing end-to-end projects where you're deploying your application. So that we did, like here, we did project AWS plus Terraform projects plus ECS plus TF plus CSID. So plus CI/CD. So like you just have to add one more thing, which is Kubernetes. So instead of ECS, you will be going to use EKS, where you will deploy your applications on Kubernetes cluster. So this is one of the important project that you can do. And after that, you have to understand that once you will do one end-to-end project, you don't have to stop there because now you are somewhere become a job-ready DevOps engineer. Now, why I'm saying this? So at this moment, you have to start doing projects because learning tools won't help you to get a job. You have to do a multiple projects where you will see a lot of things like you have to integrate your best practices, like you have to scan your infrastructure using CheckOV, TFSec, or Open Policy Agent tools. So you should use those kind of tools to scan your infrastructure or code quality analysis like SonarQube. Then after that, you can also scan your Docker images via Docker Scout or ECR image scanning. So these kind of things you have to follow for best practices. Then under the best practices, you need to know about the cost optimization as well, because in today's time, as you want to become a job ready, cost optimization is one of the important things. A lot of people know how to create a particular service, but they don't know about the cost at which service will cost them how much. So we'll have to understand that thing as well. And already I've discussed about the reducing the size of Docker image using the multi-stage Docker file. So start doing that and you will learn about the storage. Then you have to understand about the security best practices as well, where you have to run your container as a non-root user instead of root user. So these kind of very basic practices you have to follow, and so that you will be able to show that yes, I know how to run a Docker container and how I should not run a Docker container. So these kind of things you need to know. Also, you can explore a rollback access control in your Kubernetes cluster or AWS IAM services. So you will understand that what is POLP, where it stands for principle of least privilege. And so that thing you also need to know. And in the end, you need to understand few are the best practices that is related to version control. So we are not a developer, but we have to write a lot of code. Like we are creating the YAML manifest, we are creating the GitHub workflows or Jenkins pipeline scripts in Groovy, and we also write Docker files. We also write Terraform scripts in HCL, or we also write custom scripts like Python, Bash script, Shell script. So you have to do that thing as well. So ultimately, all the code will be going to push on your GitHub repository. So you need to know that how can you work with PR. So you need to know that, okay, what should be the right way to write the commit message. So you need to also focus on that, because this is a very basic thing people say, but I would say this is very underrated thing that you need to know. And how can you create the documentation? Focus on documentation as well. That if you are creating or configuring something, you need to know that how can you create the documentation for the same thing. So if someone is reading your content, or if someone is reading your document for the tool configuration, so he or she will be able to understand it easily. So this is one of the art. If you are able to describe each and everything in your document, it ultimately, I would say that you are also becoming a good writer, and you can also start writing things, or you can also become a technical writer. With this help, it opens a lot of path for you instead of only being in this DevOps and cloud domain. So also start writing, documenting your things properly. These are the few best practices that I've discussed. If you think I've missed something, so you can feel free to let me know in the comments. Then, as I've told you, that you have to do at least 5 to 6 projects. So it is 5 to 6 at least. I'm not saying that you have to only do 5 to 6. Whenever you get some time, whenever you think that, okay, I should do projects, or if you find some project very exciting, so you should follow that project. You should try that project, because project is one of the things that you will be able to remember the tool that you did few months back. So as you know that we are in the quarter 3. So in the quarter 1, we did AWS services or Linux or Bash or Shell scripting. So you might forget the things. So what you can do, that you should keep doing those things in your current project, so you will be able to remember all those things. So I know that it's not easy to remember each and everything, but you need to understand the concept and the workflow, that okay, I should have to do this. To create the EKS cluster, what are the things you need to require? So if someone is asking you, you don't have to tell the each and every script of Terraform. You just need to tell the resources that, okay, I will create a VPC first, then I will create the networking, like other VPC related services, then I will create the cluster, and then I will create the IAM role, then I will create the cluster, and then I will create again IAM role for my workloads, then I will create the node groups. So this is the workflow that you have to follow. And personally, I don't think so that this thing I will forget ever, because I've done it and I know that what is the workflow. As I'm not a robot, I'm a human. So it's fine to forget those scripts, but at least you should remember the concept. Also in Kubernetes, you can explore more things, like as I've talked about basic resources. So once you've done that, you can explore scaling. So there are 2 types of scaling, where the first scaling is your nodes scaling, where you have to scale your nodes or worker nodes. So for that, you can explore cluster autoscaler, Carpenter, and then after that we have pod scaling. So this is ultimately, we can say, application scaling. So for that, you can explore HPA, which is horizontal pod scaling. Then we have vertical pod scaling. So most of the time we used to play with HPA. VPA is also you can do. So this is the thing that you can do for the workloads. Also, you can explore network policies things, where you can learn about how can you restrict communication between multiple pods. So you can feel free to explore that thing as well. So this is about the quarter 3. Now let's jump on to the last quarter. So in the last quarter, we have to do one thing, that we have to start hunting for the job. Like we are not going to wait for 2027 to start hunting for job. And we don't have to say that I will make my comeback in 2027, because that's not going to happen if you're thinking that I will start from Monday. So we have to avoid that procrastination. We will start applying for job in the initials of October. If we followed each, you can start hunting for your jobs. And one of my personal advice is that you don't have to apply your job for the entire day. Just give 3 to 4 hours maximum for applying the jobs, for creating the resume, and whatever the things you want to do related to your job apply. But apart from that, still you have to give 2 to 3 hours to learn things consistently, because if you out of the scope, so you might forget those things. So you have to upskilling yourself as well. Then prepare interview questions. So this is one of the important thing. You have to prepare yourself for interview questions. For me, I don't have a specific time to prepare for the interviews, whether it's any interview. If I have to give interview by today, so I don't need to prepare myself. The reason is that whatever I learned from hands-on. So I am very confident that whatever I have done, I can explain them in my simple language or with the workflow. So that is one of the important things. At the end, interviewer is asking you to understand the approach that you want to follow, like what is the approach you will be going to follow. But if you want to know the DevOps interview questions, you can explore the repository. At least you will be able to understand that, okay, what types of interview questions they have. So you can prepare for those questions, and then you can create your own answers. It should not contain the same thing that whatever the answer is written on the internet. So you have to create your own answer as well. So this is the entire quarter to quarter goal that you should focus on. And if I had to start learning DevOps and cloud from scratch in 2026, so I would definitely follow this roadmap, because it includes a lot of things. Also, I have written that you can learn monitoring tools like ELK stack, EFK stack, Kubernetes Grafana stack. So it won't take much time. You can give at least 2 to 3 hours for 5 to 6 days or a week, and that would be enough to learn these basic tools. So if someone is asking about monitoring tools, so you can also explain what exactly you have done and what exactly you have monitored using these tools. So this would be my plan. Now, In the last, I would like to share one thing that, so if you start learning this thing, so give at least 1 hour or 2 hour to document your journey. Now, what does it mean? So you have seen a lot of people on LinkedIn that they used to share their progress, whatever they're learning. So start focusing on that thing. That's why I'm saying that you can share your journey with on LinkedIn, where you are showing them that, okay, today you learned that, and you can create a small document or whatever you did, like blog, kind of a blog you can create and post on Medium, Hashnode, or LinkedIn. So people will notice. And sometimes there is a high possibility that there will be recruiters, they will see. So there are, as you know, that LinkedIn is for professionals. So there are a lot of people who's actively hiring skilled people. So if they see that you are good in DevOps and cloud, so they will definitely reach out to you for a specific job role. So you should start documenting things, and ultimately it helps you a lot. So this is exactly how I learn DevOps and cloud in 2026, quarter by quarter, project by project. If you want me to create a separate videos where you want me to do quarter by quarter, like what are the things that you should learn, or full project tutorials, so drop a comment. I already created few of the production ready or real hands-on projects on my YouTube, so you can check it out as well. If you want to join the Discord community that I am running, so feel free to join. I've added the link of that in the description, so feel free to join, and whatever the doubt you have, feel free to ask over there. So that's it for the today's video. I hope you understand the roadmap, and I wish you the best of luck for the next year, and hope you complete your resolution for the next 2026. So yes, let's start building something new, and let's break the chain. Have a good day. Take care.